two-division world champion Rey Vargas wins a close split decision against Magsayo. All right. So thinking about this fight, look, this fight. I agree with the decision. I agree with the decision completely. It was a split decision fight, and for good reason. Magsayo knocked him down and was winning some of the rounds, but at the same exact time, this fight looked like a one-sided beatdown for most of the fight. As much as I could say Magsayo was trying to push the fight and make it more close and competitive. Seriously, the fight started off with Magsayo winning the first round. He won that first round. He was boxing pretty good for the first round. Then, Rey Vargas started to find him out and started to utilize his attributes better. And throughout the fight, as Rey Vargas started adapting to his style, Magsayo had no answers except for more aggression and constantly trying to reset by bouncing, just like constantly resetting, which was not a good idea either. Because Rey Vargas started to catch his habit of constantly resetting all of the time, which didn't help Magnifico Magsayo win the rounds. Most of the time when people would speak about Magsayo, they would say, oh, he won a majority decision against a broken-handed Gary Russell Jr. and wasn't going to hold the belt for long. I thought he was actually going to hold the belt for a little bit, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. I thought he had more potential than people thought he did, personally. But one thing I noticed in this fight is that his inside skills aren't spectacular, and he is a one-dimensional fighter, or he doesn't have as many dimensions as other boxers, just like Rey Vargas, for instance. Rey Vargas has a little bit more dimensions than a fighter like Magsayo. The only time when Mark showed dimensions is probably his later fights, except for Julio Ceja, because Julio Ceja was outboxing him completely. But his Gary Russell Jr. fight, he showed some versatility and a better boxing brain. My problem with Rey Vargas is that he had this fight in the bag, but he got himself dropped fighting dumb. As Magsayo started pushing the initiative, Rey Vargas started to fight inside and got way too confident for himself. He started to go inside. Every time he would land something, not every time, but sometimes when he would land something, he would close distance by trying to land an uppercut. There was no point of that because he was already winning from a distance. But he kept trying to come closer with an uppercut, which is the reason why he got dropped in the 9th round. When he kept doing the uppercut, he kept giving an opportunity for Magsayo to potentially knock him out or win the round because of him being in close quarters to his opponent. Then during the later to mid rounds, he would continue to fight close with Magsayo and get out of his comfort zone. Get into his comfort zone, actually, because for most of the highlights that I've seen of Rey Vargas, he's fighting on the inside and not even using distance that well. Getting into his normal style, per se, and just getting back into that dogfight mentality. And he was losing rounds later in the fight because of that. He got dropped because of that exact reason. So he almost cheated himself out of his own victory that he had because of his choice of not boxing, but instead trying to fight with Magsayo, which wouldn't have been a good idea because Magsayo is a harder puncher and also quicker. The shorter arm length thing wouldn't be that effective, though, because Magsayo isn't that good on the inside. I don't think he's as good as Vargas on the inside. I think he has a quicker hands, though. This fight by that time and by that point after that 9th round was pretty up and down. I thought Vargas got knocked down again, but he didn't. According to BoxRec, he only got knocked down one time, which is good. I thought he actually got knocked down a second time, though, which would have made the scorecards even worse for him. It would have made it 114, 112, and 114, 112 for Magsayo, though. So it wouldn't have been too bad. Magsayo would have had to drop Vargas on multiple occasions to have won that decision or won those last 2 rounds, which he didn't. Speaking of that too, Mark Magsayo almost had the fight. He almost managed to get Vargas out of there, but he lost those last 2 rounds because Vargas started to utilize his boxing again. Something that he should have done in the middle rounds too. He shouldn't have just tried to fight on the inside. He shouldn't have gotten close to Mark Magsayo in the first place because he was letting himself be open to get knocked out. Against a fighter that quick, you shouldn't do that at all. But he got a little carried away and he paid for it. And it made him revert back to his winning style and his winning game plan. My initial prediction, because I was having a busy weekend and sort of a busy late week, I predicted Mark Magsayo by a decision because I didn't see enough of Rey Vargas, but I did see some fights, and I thought as though with Rey Vargas's openness and him being open sometimes, I think Mark Magsayo on certain occasions would have landed the harder punches and the more quicker ones sometimes if they were to exchange. And Vargas ended up being a slightly better boxer than I initially anticipated. I thought he would have came up a division with pretty good boxing skills because typically smaller weight fighters have better boxing skills than higher weight fighters. But even still, he uses Rey Vargas uses dimensions pretty well. He used them effectively in this fight compared to other fights that I've seen. I didn't see him use his dimensions as well as other fighters did. So that's kudos to Rey Vargas because I didn't expect him to outbox Mark Magsayo that fluently when he was winning those rounds. In comparison to his other victories, this one was probably his best and probably my favorite performance of Rey Vargas because his other fights, he didn't look that good. Now, for the loss of Mark Magsayo, the Magnifico himself, the one who was promoted as the Manny Pacquiao. It was annoying. It was annoying just to see the Manny Pacquiao, just like Manny Pacquiao this, Manny Pacquiao that, Manny Pacquiao's adopted child, basically. Yes, we understand he's also Filipino and he's also trained by Freddie Roach, but he isn't Manny. He's not. He doesn't have the athleticism as Manny. He isn't as significant. And they were promoting him as being this like Manny Pacquiao protege, basically. Which is fine and all. You know, if Mark Magsayo somehow manages to go up weight classes and does what Manny Pacquiao did, then kudos to him. I'm not sure about that, but if he ever managed to do that, I'd be proud. I'd be very proud. But as of right now, I don't think that's going to happen yet. It was just annoying seeing that because it's sort of like it kind of reminds me of Edgar Berlanga being promoted as the next Miguel Cotto or this next Puerto Rican gigantic star with the likes of Felix Trinidad, like that top rank type of promotion that Bob Arum does. When you can clearly see that Edgar Berlanga ain't got nothing, man. Well, not to say he has nothing, but his last 3 performances have been abysmal. Except, actually, no, his last 2. The first one, which went the distance, the second one, which went the distance, the one against that guy who lost to Billy Joe Saunders, Marco Esteban. Against Esteban, he did okay. He did okay. His next fight, he did worse than I thought he would do against Steve Ross. That was not. His third fight against Angulo was abysmal. He almost lost that fight. Everybody else in the 168-pound division who was seen as a prospect or someone who was of a high caliber handled Angulo easy. Well, not easy, but handled him in a lot better fashion than Berlanga did. So I don't know about his future as a fighter. But to continue on this fight, there wasn't really any moments that I saw where Magsayo was exactly hurt. I saw moments where Vargas was hurt and dropped. But that doesn't make him the winner. That doesn't make Magsayo the winner. But I did think he did win the Russell Jr. fight. I thought he did win that. I don't think Russell won or did enough to win. I wonder where Mark is going to go next from here on now. Like, where is he going to go next? What is he going to do now? What is he going to do? I have no idea. All I want to see is my favorite 121 fighter, Brandon Figueroa, fight the winner between these two, so he can get the belt. I'm picking Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreaker, because that's my favorite fighter around that territory. Let me know, you guys. Let me know your opinions about this fight. Let me know how you guys felt about this situation. Your opinion, something completely unrelated. Anything. Just let me know if you guys thought that Magsayo won the fight, or if Rey Vargas lost it. Anything of that matter. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye.